An unprecedented cold wave hit the city, and we had planned a winter getaway. Our destination was a small town in Colorado, known for its old streetscape. The Airbnb we found was a wooden cabin nestled quietly in the mountains. The photos showed a roof covered in snow and a cozy living room with a fireplace, making it seem like the perfect place for a winter escape. The host had added a message saying it was the perfect hideaway for nature lovers. We arrived at dusk. Thick snow covered the roads, and the trees sparkled white with frost. The cabin was more secluded than expected, with the nearest house several kilometers away. This was the true solitude we had been excited for. However, the host who was supposed to pass us the keys didn't show up, and the door had a keypad lock instead. After entering the code provided in the message, we found the interior surprisingly warm despite the severe cold outside. The living room had a fireplace stocked with firewood, and the kitchen was well equipped with food. Our first impression was nearly perfect. But as the night deepened, an uneasy atmosphere began to pervade. Shadows flickered outside the windows, and a howling wind could be heard incessantly. We reassured ourselves that the unease might stem from being in an unfamiliar place or the isolation. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I heard noises from outside. At first I thought it was the heavy snow pressing down on the roof, but the sounds were too periodic. Footsteps. Indeed, someone was walking outside. Despite the fear, I approached the window to look out but saw nothing but the footprints in the dark night. The next morning, we received a message from the host. If you hear strange noises at night, please don't worry. It's just the mountain wind. However, what we saw was not the work of the wind. Someone's footprints were deeply engraved around the cabin. That day we explored the nearby town. When we returned after sunset, I felt a gaze behind me. Turning around, I briefly saw a figure standing in the distance, but it vanished upon closer inspection. Again at night, we woke up to the sound of someone prowling around the cabin. This time, I ventured outside, only to find footprints in the freezing cold, circling the cabin and coming close to the doors and windows but disappearing suddenly, as if vanishing into thin air. Unable to sleep all night due to anxiety and fear, I contacted the host early the next morning. However, there was no reply, and a creepy silence enveloped the cabin all day. We didn't dare to go outside and just waited for time to pass. In the evening, we finally received a reply from the host. Once, an old woman lived alone in that cabin. She had a deep love for the mountains but succumbed to loneliness and the cold one winter. However, her soul still hasn't left the place. The unease you felt, the footprints, and the noises at night might all be her checking on your safety. Reading this message, we felt a mix of fear and pity. When night came again, listening to the sounds from outside somehow calmed our hearts, thinking it might be the old woman's loneliness and affection manifesting. However, that night, the most terrifying event awaited. Suddenly, the temperature inside plummeted as if the fireplace had gone out, and a figure began to emerge in the corner of the living room. It was the old woman, dressed in old clothes, with eyes full of deep sadness. She quietly looked at us, then slowly faded away, becoming transparent. After that, the cabin warmed up again, and a strange sense of security spread. We felt the old woman's soul, still tied to this land, had tried to convey something to us. From this experience, We learned how deeply people can connect to a place and that their stories still breathe life into the land. Our stay at the Airbnb turned into an unexpected horror experience, but it also became an unforgettable lesson, reminding us of the deep bonds between people and places. Moving forward, we'll always listen to the history and stories of the places we visit, paying respect to their significance.